professor. Harry Targ of Lafayette is from the Lafayette Area Peace Coalition on U.S.-Iranian diplomacy. Last summer, President Obama indicated he was giving serious consideration to selective bombing of military targets in Syria. The proposed scenario sounded a lot like the U.S.-NATO war on Libya in 2011 that facilitated the overthrow of an authoritarian regime, but at the expense of the disintegration of Libyan society into a maze of warring factions. Concerned citizens around the country raised their opposition to a war on Syria, as did members of Congress, both Democrats and Republicans. As a result of growing resistance to war, the president postponed indefinitely an attack on Syria. In the aftermath of President Obama's reconsideration of military attack on Syria, Secretary of State John Kerry flew to Geneva and began the latest round of discussions with Iranian leaders to eliminate the threat of Iran developing a nuclear weapon program. Discussions involved securing a commitment from Iran to cease any programs of development of nuclear weapons, with the possibility of United States reduction and eventual elimination of an economic blockade of that country. The result of this flurry of activities was a recently signed 6-month agreement between the United States and Iran to give time for further diplomatic negotiations. In addition, the administration announced that negotiations would begin in January to end the civil war in Syria. New York Times reporter Mark Lander wrote that the two nearly simultaneous developments were vivid statements that diplomacy, the venerable but often unsatisfying art of compromise, has once again become the centerpiece of American foreign policy. In parentheses, Obama signals a shift from military might to diplomacy. New York Times, November the 25th, 2013. Landler referred to 2008 candidate Obama's pledge to audiences at home, in Europe, and in the Middle East that his administration would use the traditional tools of diplomacy rather than force to help solve world problems. His 2008 statement stood in contrast to those that would use force as a first resort rather than a last one in international relations. Members of the Lafayette Area Peace Coalition wish to support efforts to bring conflicts between the United States, Syria, and Iran to a conclusion by using wise and judicious diplomacy. It is always preferable to foreign relations to work vigorously to achieve conflict resolution through bargaining and negotiations rather than threats of force. In addition, we believe negotiations between the United States and Iran are at a critical juncture. The use of diplomacy and not threats must be tried to achieve our goals. We support the efforts of the Obama administration to negotiate peace elements in the Middle East and the Persian Gulf. Any show of force or threats, whether they be military or economic at this time, would undermine the negotiation process. Senate Bill 1881, which would increase sanctions against Iran, would now be viewed as provocative and might lead to the end of a process of negotiation underway. We agree with the letter drafted by 10 Senate committee chairs who argued that new sanctions only play in the hands of those in Iran who are most eager for negotiations to fail. We in Lafayette, Indiana, urge our senators, Coates and Donnelly, to withdraw any endorsement of SB 1881 and to vote against it if it reaches the floor of the Senate. We are tired of endless war and wish to give peace a chance. That concludes the comments for today. I thank everybody for us coming here and these very difficult weather conditions, and especially from our friends from Bloomington that were able to come through the dangerous roads that we have, and also from our friend Dave Lambert from Fort Wayne. So some people just can't be stopped by bad weather. And I think that would end our talk, other than the fact to mention that we don't know where we're going from here yet. We haven't reached that stage. We were in a position where we wanted to meet with the senators. We did that. We've written letters, we've petitioned, and there's a lot of national petitions going around right now from different groups. The Iraq Veterans Against the War, the Veterans for Peace are about to come out with a position. And so this is becoming a national and international issue. And so we are going to regroup a little bit and try to figure out, with the benefit of all the groups that have assembled and have signed some of these comments, to figure out where we're going from here, to put more pressure upon this administration, not the administration perhaps. We find ourselves many times in a situation where we are protesting the administration for different things that they do. For the first time that I can remember for the last couple of years, we are actually in support of the administration. And we're concerned with these people in the Senate that would, especially our senators here in Indiana, that would threaten legislation that would very well lead to war. Thank you very much.